Yo, what is going on, you totally radical YouTubers? It's Radical Rich here again with another customized review. And I like to say this isn't anything that I've been expecting to do, but I decided to do a customized video of my characters for my own superhero stories called The Speed Kids. And I like to give out to show you some of the minifigs I've made here, and I would also tell you about the Speed Kids backstory as well. And so first off, I'll get started off with the main heroes of the stories. Speed Boy and Speed Girl. They're both mutants with super speed, and also they're not siblings or twins. They're girlfriend and boyfriend, and that was one thing I wanted to try and do with the Speed Kids. Make it very original as I could, and I wanted to I always kept thinking every time I always see a girl and a boy with the same power working together as a team, that always end up being siblings or cousins or twins. And I just thought, nah, why not girlfriend and boyfriend for a change? That's what I thought. And here was another thing that got to me. Every time I always read a Marvel comic, their stories are always in New York, except for Black Panther. His is in Africa, and the Runaways as well. Their story's in Los Angeles, and also for some of the UK heroes as well, and Canadian heroes. But yeah, it's just mostly in New York for Marvel, and for DC it's always in their own made up city like Gotham and Metropolis. And I thought, for the Speed Kids, they should be living in Las Vegas doing hero work there. And also I've also done minifigs of them in their street clothes as well. And here they are. Richard Hayes and Yuri Wong. And I like to say Richard Hayes, he used to be a mutant before, right? And he was once a member of the X-Men, but he was so fed up of being part of the X-Men at 12 years old, so he decided to run away. And he met Yuri on social media one time, and she was also abused by her father, who was the head of the Japanese mafia, and she ran away at 10 years old. So yeah, both Richard was 12 and Yuri was 10 at the time, but now they're a bit older in my main stories. Now they're 18 and 16, a bit more older. And after that, they met on social media one time and had a lot in common. And Yuri did admit to Richard that she was a mutant as well, and she thought maybe she should join the X-Men as well. But Richard was like, no, you don't want to join the X-Men. Some of them are jerks, but they're just not how you would see them. And they both decided to head to Los Angeles, and Richard was on his way to find his parents that were living in Los Angeles, and Yuri was on her way to Los Angeles as well to find her aunt and uncle who live in Los Angeles as well. But the most hard thing was when Yuri was 10, she had to look after her 3-month-old sister, Yuna. And here she is, also known as Hypergirl. Now, I like to say I did make a newer logo for her. You can see here on my poster here of a drawing that my friend Brian did. Yeah, she's like got a new logo that's like Blue Oyster Cult from the song Oh No, There Goes Tokyo, Go Go Godzilla. Yeah, just for a little idea I thought of doing that with Blue Oyster Cult, because I remember in the Power Pack series, Julie had a logo like that on her outfit called there was like Pink Floyd's logo, and I thought of giving Hypergirl that logo too. But before I used to give it an X logo, but now I decided just to update it. Yeah, I think Hypergirl's minifig needs a bit of a repaint. So yeah, and she's Speed Girl's 5-year-old sister. And before, when Speed Girl was 10 and she was a 3-month-old baby, Yuri took her and decided to take her to Los Angeles with her to protect her from her evil crime boss dad. And also, here's Yuna again in her Hypergirl in her street clothes, and her name is Yuna Wong, and she's like a very mischievous 5-year-old. And I like to say before, in my older stories, I did ones where I gave Yuri and Yuna the ability to talk to kaijus as well, and Godzilla and Mothra adopted them after King Ghidorah killed their parents. But this is a new story now where I'm just sticking with my characters in Marvel, and instead Yuri's mom was a very nice person, and her dad was a crime boss. But in the older stories with Godzilla, Yuri and Yuna as parents were like part of SHIELD scientists that tried to study the Titans. But then after, when King Ghidorah killed their parents, Godzilla adopted them as his own children. And they could have the ability to talk to kaijus. And I did say sometimes in stories I could see Godzilla talking, like in that part in Godzilla vs. Gigan where he and Anguirus talked weirdly. Every time they spoke, you always hear like a disc getting scratched. Yeah, but no, they talk more properly. Like, say you're like watching Lady and the Tramp, when you see Lady with her owner, she's always woof woof with them, but when she's among other dogs, she starts talking. And that's what I thought of doing with Godzilla and all the Titans. You know, they're all roaring at humans' presence, but they're talking when they're at each other's presence. So anyway, back to the review. Yeah, here's Speed Girl's sister in her street clothes, Yuna Wong. And well, for the Speed Kids' powers are, they both have super speed. Speed Girl has martial arts. She's a black belt in karate, and Speed Boy, he's like super fast as well, but he does have a little bit of super strength. He's not very strong like the Hulk. He's about, I would say, as strong as Spider-Man. And I think Luna and Iris have been pests again, just snooping at my door, I think. Yeah, and he's about as strong as Spider-Man, but not fully strong like the Hulk or Colossus or the Thing. Yeah, so anyway, that's the Speed Kids for you. And yeah, and after that, they decided to stay in Las Vegas and patrol it from crime, and they didn't decide to go to Los Angeles. They thought they'd be more better looking after each other in Las Vegas. But before, they had a nice little cabin that was on the outskirts of Las Vegas, but then it got destroyed, and then they decided to move more into the city and buy an apartment in Las Vegas where they can just live nicely, and then also look out, in the city for you. And just to tell you this, Las Vegas, it's a very big city full of crime. So yeah, that will be a good place for superheroes to defend it. And also, just to tell you this, I did name my characters after certain things. I named Speed Boy after me, called him Richard Hayes. Well, my last name is Oxley, but I thought of giving him a different last name, so I called him Richard Hayes. And by the way, I'm English and he's American. And Yuri and Yuna, I named them after this band I was used to like listening to called, I don't know how to pronounce it because I don't know if I'm going to say it wrong, but I'll spell it out for you. SNSD. And there were two members in the band called Yuri and Yuna, and I think the band was Korean, but my characters Yuri and Yuna are Japanese. And this band was Korean. And when I saw the band, Yuri and Yuna, they were like very close, like sisters they were. And I decided to name my characters Yuri and Yuna after them. And anyway, well, that's the Speed Kids for you, and I'll move on to the next minifig. Now, for superheroes, you should always have your supervillains. And I really tried to have a think about making a good supervillain. And here he is, the archenemy of the Speed Kids, Black Claw. And he is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And what his goal was to take over the state of Nevada and make it part of the British Empire. And he really wanted to bring back the British Empire. And how he got his robotic arm was he was in battle with the Marvel hero called Blade, and what happened was Blade was the only British superhero, and also Spider-Woman as well. Both Blade and Spider-Woman were the only British heroes that knew Black Claw was an evil supervillain, and they went into battle with him. And when Black Claw was about to pull off this designate his base, Blade stopped him by cutting off his arm. Yeah, so I decided to have Blade be the one to cut off Black Claw's arm, and then after he lost it, he replaced it with a robotic arm with a claw on the end, and that's why he goes by the name of Black Claw. And before, he just used to be an evil Prime Minister known as Dr. Nigel Shipman. And I always like to say, us British are the best at being villains. Yeah, we have talent at being villains. If you notice in a lot of movies, you always see the villains being British and the heroes being Americans. So that's why I always think us British are better at being evil. Sorry about that, that's my evil laugh. And one other thing, there is an unknown thing to the Speed Kids and Black Claw as well. What they both don't know is that Black Claw is Speed Boy's grandfather. So, yeah, well, Black Claw doesn't know Speed Boy is his grandson, and Speed Boy doesn't know he's his grandfather as well. But yes, Speed Boy's father is also Black Claw's son, and when he was a child, he used to be bullied and abused by him before he lost his arm, and then his son ran away from the UK and hid to America, where he met Speed Boy's mother and grandmother, and Speed Boy's father was adopted by his grandmother and his mother as children. And Speed Boy's parents were like adopted brother and sister, but they got together and got married and had Speed Boy as their firstborn child. And when I used to be like a big fan of Ninja Turtles, right? And when I was like saw Shredder with his two dimwit hench mutants, Bebop and Rocksteady, I thought I should give Blacklaw his own mutant henchman as well. And here they are, Salaraptor, a mutant salamander, and Killer Shark, a mutant great white shark with a peg leg, like a pirate. And I'll tell you about their backstory. Well, Salaraptor, his name was Willie Varrell, and he used to be like a big lorry driver in America from Louisiana, and he decided to work for Blacklaw so he could get paid. And he's also one of those Americans that think that Benedict Arnold was right, that America should belong to the British Empire. And to say he's a redneck from Louisiana, no, he thinks Benedict Arnold was right. And Killer Shark, he's a shark, he used to be a shark hunter, and I called him John Brody. And like I said, I named Speedboy after me. My granddad really liked Killer Shark a lot, and his name was John, and I was still like looking to give him a common name, and I decided to call him John after my granddad because my granddad liked him a lot, so I called him John Brody. And Brody, I think you can know where I got that from if you know any other shark movies with a character in it called Brody. Yeah, so yeah, they're his hench mutants like Bebop and Rocksteady, but I didn't make him stupid and dim-witted like Bebop and Rocksteady. Even to say Salaraptor's a redneck, he's even more clever than yeah, I wanted to make Salaraptor and Killer Shark more vicious and more brutal, something like that the Speed Kids would fear. And I remember watching James Ralph's review on Ninja Turtles when he sort of judged Bebop and Rocksteady. He said, honestly, Bebop and Rocksteady should be mutants that the Turtles would fear. And that's what I decided to do with Salaraptor and Killer Shark. Be more like something that mutants that the Speed Kids would fear. And I didn't make them become, well, in my original stories, they did become mutants from mutagens, but how I'm sticking with my own characters in Marvel now in my stories, I'm like, I made up my own chemical that's like it called hybrid serum. So it's a bit like mutagens, but my own version instead. And what happened was, right, before they mutated, Richard and Una found out that they were working for Blacklaw, but they didn't know who Blacklaw was at first, and they saw them talking to him on like a FaceTime, and thought that they should report them to the police, but the police won't believe him. They just thought, you should save all that crazy stuff for New York with the Avengers. But they had to try and track him down, but then one time Blacklaw ordered the British Army to kidnap Una, right, and hold her as ransom for the Speed Kids. But poor old Una, she might have like a lot of powers, but she couldn't escape because they might find out about her secret identity. Oh yeah, I just forgot to tell you about Una's powers. Yeah, she's called Hypergirl, right? And she is also a mutant like her sister. But I decided to make her be a very special mutant. I decided to like make her, each birthday she would get a new superpower. Well, she's 5 years old now, and when it was her first birthday, she learned how to fly, and then her second birthday, she could talk to animals, and then her third birthday, she had X-ray vision, and then her fourth birthday, she had telekinesis, and then her fifth birthday, she could turn her body into diamond form like Emma Frost and Cole from Teen Titans, and also Diamond Head from Ben 10. And And she could also shoot diamonds out of her hands like Diamond Head as well. And that friend of Ben 10's as well, who's like Diamond Head. Oh, I've forgotten his name. You know, who always pops up in a couple of Ben 10 episodes. I've forgotten his name, and he always was a close ally to him. Well, I'll just say the other Diamond Head. And yeah, so she can also shoot it out of her hands like Diamond Head as well. And I decided to try something a bit original with Hypergirl as well. When I saw the Marvel character Sentry and also Hyperion as well, they were like the Marvel Supermans. You know, Hyperion, he was like Superman. You know, he had all of Superman's powers, right? But with Sentry, he had a couple of Superman's powers, but his own powers as well. And that's what I decided to do with Hypergirl. I decided how Sentry was like a new Marvel Superman. I decided to make Hypergirl be like a Marvel version of Supergirl. just like original, like Sentry. So anyway, at one time, Blacklaw was very fed up with the Speed Kids ruining his plans. So that's why he went to Los Angeles to see these antique dealers who were secretly time travelers, and he commissioned them to go to the 28th century to have a dinosaur cloned for him, a Tyrannosaurus, to hunt down the Speed Kids and destroy them. And the antique dealers were like saying, sure, we'll go to the 28th century to get you a Tyrannosaurus, but it will cost you a pretty doubloon, Dr. Shipman. And Blacklaw was like, of course, my good fellows. Well, I'll pay you right now, and then you'll head to the Century and get me a Tyrannosaurus. I need it so badly so I can destroy the Speed Kids once and for all. And so that's what the time travelers decided to do. Head to the Century, have a Tyrannosaurus commissioned for them, bring it back to the present, and take it to Las Vegas to have it destroy the Speed Kids. And when Speed Boy and Speed Girl first saw Tyrannosaurus rampaging in Las Vegas, they were so surprised. They could not believe it. You know, seeing something that should have been extinct 65 million years ago. And it chased Speed Boy and Speed Girl down the streets of Las Vegas, but then Speed Girl saw a device on top of the Tyrannosaurus's forehead, and she saw that he was in mind control. So Speed Boy jumped on top of the Tyrannosaurus's head and got his knife and dug that device out and broke it off him. And the Tyrannosaurus was out of his mind control. But then when he was out of his mind control, they found out he was really friendly, and the Speed Kids decided to have him stay with them as their very own pet. And Speed Girl decided to take the Tyrannosaurus in like his own dog, like her own dog. And then they decided to call him Tyrant, as how Tyrannosaurus meant Tyrant Lizard King. So I thought Tyrant would have been a good name for him. And for Tyrant's backstory, I decided to inspire him on like a male version of Rexy. And I have heard about scientists say that, hang on a second. Yeah, I just couldn't remember which gender way it round. Oh yeah, I've got it now. Yeah, it said that the female T-Rexes were more bigger than the male T-Rexes, but that's something we just don't know of, because, you know, we can't study the T-Rexes live, can't we? So we can't tell if the females were bigger than the males. I mean, it's easier with great white sharks. We can tell that the females are bigger than the males because, you know, that the great white sharks are living with us today. So yeah, we can't tell if the females were actually bigger than the males. Maybe one day they might discover a new T-Rex that's a male that's even bigger than all the females they discovered. But I did also notice, right, yeah, alright, well, male T-Rexes would be like about up to here compared to the males, but Rexy from Jurassic Park, alright, this will be her size because I did customise it, and she was a very huge Tyrannosaurus, and both Buck and Doe from the second Jurassic Park, the T-Rex couple, their height and length was equally the same size, but Rexy was a little bit bigger than them, so Buck and Doe would be about like up to here to Rexy, and but their height and length was equally the same size. And my character Tyrant, he is a male T-Rex, but his height and length is about equally the same size as Rexy's. So yeah, I did like to make him I thought of making him a male version of Rexy. So yeah, that's my thing. Well, he's not got Rexy's colour, but yeah, I decided to make him be a male version of Rexy. So yeah, there's a pet Tyrannosaurus, Tyrant. And now we'll move on to the next minifig. Now here's my last minifig, and this isn't really my character. This is one of my friend's characters, who I met on social media one time, who liked my Speed Kids stories, and he was telling me a lot about his superhero he made up called Titanium Dragon, and he said that he would wear a robotic armoured suit like Iron Man's and War Machine's, and but have it more dragon stylish. And when I did, he did ask me to draw Titanium Dragon suit for him, but I tried to think of a way how to do it, but I did draw the suit, and he has like a big laser beam coming out of his mouth, like a way how a dragon would breathe fire. And I did try to inspire the helmet on the show of Mechagodzilla from the original Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, because the show of Mechagodzilla, out of all versions of Mechagodzilla, he's my most favourite one. But yeah, I didn't like how the helmet would have gone out, because Mechagodzilla had such a really big snout, and I couldn't make a good snout form for Titanium Dragon. But I did hear I did a minifig series, and I saw a dragon in that, and I might buy that dragon headpiece and paint it grey to make it look like Titanium Dragon's version. And his backstory is he was a traveller with his grandpa and his sister and brother, right? And one time, Titanium Dragon, also known as Steve Bupea, found out that his father used to be the original Titanium Dragon, who was an old friend of Tony Stark's, but he decided to become the new Titanium Dragon. And one time he was in Las Vegas, travelled to Las Vegas in the big RV that his grandpa drives, and heard that the Speed Kids were battling a supervillain, and he armoured up his dragon armour, and that's where he met the Speed Kids. And then Titanium Dragon became a really good friend to the Speed Kids as well, not like a sidekick, more like a good ally. And then the Speed Kids had to fight this new supervillain I made up called the Sledgehammer, and also two supervillains I made up called the Pounder Twins, where they wear vibrant suits, and they can punch through walls and make big vibranium blasts out of their gloves. But they got their suits from Oscorp. And Sledgehammer, he's an insane man who rides his own armor suit, almost a bit like Ironmonger's a bit, but on one arm he has like a big knife, and on his other arm he has a big hammer. That's why he calls himself the Sledgehammer. And he also has missiles and machine guns shooting out of his armor as well. But Sledgehammer is a bit of an insane religion supervillain that thinks that Jesus came to him in his dream, and that he says that Jesus wants these mutants dead. Well, that's just him for you. He's just a nutcase. So I will try and make minifigs of all my other heroes and villains as well, but that time will come one time. And anyway, I'll just and I should ought to let you know, the Speed Kids do have a lot of good superhero friends from Marvel as well. I do say they have some DC and Toho friends and Ninja Turtle friends as well, and also they're friends with the Incredibles. But for my stories now, I'm just sticking with my characters and my friends' characters and Marvel as well. So I'm just doing Marvel crossovers from now on. And I have written some good stories of them where they meet some other Marvel heroes. I've just done one where they met some of the Avengers, and done one where they meet Deadpool, and I'm just working on one now where they meet Spider-Man. And I will do a lot of other story crossovers with other Marvel friends as well, and that time will come. And here's all of their other Marvel friends, like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Gambit, Deadpool, the Punisher, Blade, and Captain America, Scarlet Witch, the Hulk, Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel. Well, I would not say it's more the classic Miss Marvel, you know, where she wore the outfit in the 90s. Not this version. You know, I don't really like this version of Captain Marvel. I liked her original version more, where she wore the black suit, and she was more nicer in that version. So it's not that version they're friends with, it's the old 90s version. And also the Fantastic Four. Yep. Now, these are all of the Speed Kids Marvel friends. So they do have a lot of good friends at their side. And I like to say, well, if you're saying, well, aren't there any X-Men on that? Well, there is Gambit. Well, he's our most best X-Men friend. You know, he's the one that would always be on their side a lot. And I know you're thinking, hey, hang on, why is the Punisher a friend? He never gets along with other heroes. Well, I decided to have the Punisher get along with the Speed Kids for once. You know, I do like the Punisher. He is one of my favourite heroes, and I wanted him to be friends with the Speed Kids as well. So yeah, that's that for you. And yeah, and I'm writing stories right now where they meet all these heroes. So yeah, I've done one where they met the Avengers with Iron Man, Hulk, Scarlet Witch, and Miss Marvel. And I've also done one where they met Deadpool. And I'm also working on the one where they meet Spider-Man as well. And then and after that, I might try and write a story where they'll meet the Punisher next. And then I might do one where they meet the Fantastic Four and Captain America. I thought when I do the one where they meet the Fantastic Four, I also had Captain America in it. And I'll do one where they meet Gambit, and also do one where they meet Blade as well. And when they meet Blade, he'll tell him that he was the one that cut off Black Claw's arm. So yeah, that's all the Speed Kids friends for you. And if you're saying, well, aren't there any X-Men? Well, they do get along with some X-Men, but some of the X-Men do hate them because bad thing is the X-Men wanted the Speed Kids to join their team, but they didn't want to, and they were very annoyed about it. And some of the X-Men they get along with are probably Kitty Pryde, Wolverine, Colossus, X-23, Honey Badger, and Nightcrawler, Iceman, and I think that's about it of their X-Men friends. You know, oh yeah, and Storm as well. Yeah, they're the X-Men that get along with the Speed Kids, but yeah, some of the X-Men do hate the Speed Kids because how they don't want to join them, and that is Cyclops. Yeah, Cyclops really does hate the Speed Kids because he wanted them to join the X-Men, and they said, no, we don't want to join, and he was really angry about them not wanting to join because how they were mutants and they should join the X-Men, but no, they didn't want to, and Iron Man felt a bit bad for them, so he decided to stick up for them, and Iron Man did try to help out the Speed Kids a bit with some of their education problems. He decided to help them get them into school, and if they ever needed parents' evenings, he decided to come in and be their guardian. So yeah, Iron Man does help out the Speed Kids if they have a big problem. And other X-Men who hate the Speed Kids is probably Beast as well, but Beast is the same as Cyclops. He really wants them to join the X-Men, but he just doesn't take no for an answer. Yeah, and yeah, Beast really does hate the Speed Kids a lot. He just hates them for his own selfish reason. And bad thing is, Hypergirl is very scared of Beast. You know, she just has a look at him and she runs off crying. You know, and I think I would be scared as well. You know, a 5-year-old scared of a scary blue creature like Beast, and you know, she's always like hiding behind the Hulk from him. And also another X-Man, well, I wouldn't say she hates him, but she does get a little bit jealous of them, is Pixie. Yeah, I wouldn't say Pixie would hate them, but when Speed Boy used to be part of the X-Men, she did have a bit of a puppy dog crush on Speed Boy, and she really wanted Speed Boy to be her boyfriend in future when they grew up, but Speed Boy wasn't interested, and when she found out that Speed Boy and Speed Girl got together, she did become very sadly jealous about it, and you know, that's when she started not to like the Speed Kids that much. And but also Pixie was the same when she saw Speed Boy talking to Kitty Pryde or X-23, and Speed Boy did have a lot in common with Kitty Pryde, and Kitty Pryde had a crush on Speed Boy as well, right? But she was just too shy about it, and after he ran away, and Colossus and Kitty Pryde became a couple, and by the way, I don't know why any of you fans are upset about Kitty Pryde and Colossus being a couple. I don't see anything wrong about it. And I just feel like you're treating Colossus like he's a bad guy. That he's not. Yeah, and anyway, as I was saying, when Kitty Pryde and Colossus became a couple, Kitty Pryde did tell Colossus she used to have a crush on Speed Boy, and and how Colossus was an old bro of Speed Boy's, right? He did say to him, Kitty did have a crush on you, Richard, and she was always too shy to tell you, my little comrade. Yeah, Colossus ain't a shallow person, and he's a gentleman, and he would understand, and he would know that Kitty Pryde would have moved on, and know that Speed Boy's definitely in love with Speed Girl. and the other girl that always used to have a crush on him was X-23, and well, after when Speed Boy's parents abandoned him when he was young, Wolverine took Speed Boy in and became his mentor and looked after him like his own son, but also he had to look after X-23 as well when she was a child as well. And when Wolverine did find Speed Boy, he was 5 years old then, and he did get his mutant powers at an early age. And I know you should get your mutant powers at puberty, but no, he did get it at an early age, how he was a speedster. Professor X said you can get your mutant powers at an early age, but it is very rare. And so Speed Boy and Speed Girl were those very rare mutants getting their mutant powers at an early age. So anyway, yeah, X-23 used to have a crush on Speed Boy, but Speed Boy just saw her as a sister, and they were about the same age. She was 5 when she was finished cloning. That's how I did it in my stories, and yes, both X-23 and Speed Boy grew up together like a brother and a sister, and Wolverine was like their dad to them. So anyway, that's the end of the review, and I hope you enjoyed hearing the story about my own superhero characters. And if you ever want to listen to my stories, they're on my DeviantArt account, Radical 80s Rules, and I'll leave a link to you if you want to read their stories. And also a friend of mine has drawn some covers for them as well. 2 friends of mine, one called Brian, who did that drawing there, a Power Pack. He did a couple of my covers for my stories, and my friend, I don't know how to pronounce his DeviantArt page. I think it was called Kyle Tuxter. I think that's how it's pronounced. But if I got it wrong, if you're watching my video right now, buddy, I'm very sorry if I said your DeviantArt page wrong. I'm sorry. So anyway, I'll leave a link to you all. So if you want to read my Speed Kids stories on my DeviantArt account, you can read them if you want to. I've written a couple of stories. I've written my own trilogy about where they fight Black Claw, and I've written a special one where they first meet Titanium Dragon, and now I'm working on my Marvel crossovers. And also my friend Brian, who written his Power Pack story here called Power Pack Phoenix Rise Again. I've left that on my DeviantArt page as well if you want to read that as well. And that's called Power Pack Phoenix Rise Again, and the member of Power Pack, Julie, becomes the new Phoenix. So anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed my video. Please like and subscribe for me, please, and I'll see you in my very next video. So peace out, my radical YouTubers.